Charged with electricity, Nayzaga is one shock-type behemoth that will keep you on your toes. So today we'll be learning how to take on this behemoth and its pylons in this week's Behemoth Breakdown. Before venturing out to take on this behemoth, here are a few things you may want to know. Nayzaga is a shock-type behemoth that frequently places pylons around the area to help protect itself against slayers. These shock-infused pylons fire balls of electricity that slightly home in on the player. Any slayer hit by these will have the shock debuff applied to them, which completely disables your ability to use items and the Aether Well for a short time. Luckily, this debuff can be quickly removed by dealing damage to the behemoth. These orbs can be easily avoided by dodging or quickly moving out of the ball's range, but with all of Nayzaga's attacks happening at the same time will drastically make things more difficult. So I highly recommend focusing on destroying these pylons first before attacking the behemoth to make things a little easier as you hunt Nayzaga. These balls can be reflected back at the quills, which will damage and eventually destroy them. If you decide to ignore the pylons, your next best bet is to use the behemoth's body to block any incoming projectiles. Another thing to know is that the number of pylons used will be scaled based on the number of slayers in the party. So in a group, make sure you have at least 1 or 2 slayers focusing on the quills while the others attack the behemoth. Nayzaga has both an Aether state and an Enraged state. During its Aether state, Nayzaga will launch a large set of pylons. Similar to the smaller pylons, this will fire a ball of shock and slightly home in on the player. Unlike the smaller ones, the pylon will only fire after Nayzaga targets the quills with its shockwave attack. If you destroy them, Nayzaga will overcharge, ending its Aether state and left open to attacks for a short time. A handy tip to know is that there is a collision box on the pylon, which can partially block Nayzaga from being able to hit you. Also, be careful of Nayzaga's attacks during this state. Every move except one can inflict the shock debuff. During its Enrage, the behemoth will increase its attack speed and all of its pylons will have much shorter cooldown between shots, so stay on your toes. As I mentioned earlier, Nayzaga is a shock-type behemoth, making weapons with the Terra element a great choice to bring to the hunt. Other things you might want to know is that Nayzaga has 6 breakable locations that can drop materials. 1 on each leg and arm, 1 on the head, and 1 on the tail. Another cool thing that I recently discovered is that any shock balls that hit the behemoth after being reflected will in fact deal damage to the behemoth. As you battle against Nayzaga, here are the moves you'll encounter. Most likely the first move you'll come across, Nayzaga will slide twice as it tries to ram the player. I suggest running off to the side as quickly as possible or dodge through the behemoth to safely avoid it. If you're fast enough, you can hit Nayzaga as it passes by each slide. This is also the only move that does not apply the shock debuff when Aether charged. When in front of the behemoth, Nayzaga will bring an arm back before lunging forward and swiping. Dodging through is a good way to avoid this attack, but if you want to stay by the head, dodging backwards is a very effective way to do it. A common move to see when on the side of Nayzaga, the behemoth will bring an arm back and swing it backwards. Either dodge it or run to the tail to avoid this attack. If you're in front, the range is short, so as long as you're not too close, you can attack the head without getting hit. Just like Quillshot's drag, Nayzaga will slide across the ground, hitting players unable to get out of the way. You can move out of the way without dodging if you're quick enough, but in most cases, dodging through the behemoth is the way to go. This attack will most likely be the one that will catch you off guard. It's fast and it gives a very short time to react. This move only happens when someone is on the side of the behemoth, so keep this in mind if you're attacking the legs. Used when a player is behind or nearby the hind legs, the behemoth will curl its tail and whip its body, covering a decent amount of range. Like many other attacks, dodging through the behemoth is a solid way to avoid this attack. Raising an arm, the behemoth will slam the ground, creating a large impact, which oftentimes is used when the player is near Nayzaga's arms. Just quickly time your dodge to safely avoid this attack. Letting out an ominous sound and spinning its body around, a line of lightning strikes will be directed towards the player. At a distance, this can be avoided by running off to the side, but you will have to dodge if you're up close to the Behemoth. As I mentioned earlier, this move is also used to charge up the large Pylon, so be careful not to get caught in the line of fire. If you had trouble with Nayzaga, hopefully all the information I have given you will aid you in your next Nayzaga encounter. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you in Dauntless.